High Oblivion by Billy McBride. Copyright 2022 by William McBride. All rights reserved.
1. When I am out of the warehouse, and when I am out of the office, and when I am out of the gallery, then there will be no place for a tub, and no place for a shower hookup.
And when there is no place for cooking, then I will not put a microwave there, nor a refrigerator. What I know is big.
And when there will be no time for what comes next, then I will not be here for 1 month more, and before that, nothing will have happened, neither will the mansion have happened, nor the limousine. And I will write no music.
And when it is time to stop me from walking, there will be no use for any modular depths, and I will give up investigating them so as to hide the AC units, and hide the plumbing, and hide the electrical fixtures, and hide the cabinets, and hide the ledges, and tables, and computers, and furniture, and beds, and storage, and insulation, and hide the balconies, and railings, and flower pots, and rooms' reflections, and notations, and then all things will be hidden for good.
When the architecture is made basic in construction by me, then it will disappear.
The blankness will be in its functionality when it has no more elements anymore in and of what was its architecture.
2. When we emerge from out of our dark prisons, then we will try to hurry ourselves awake, and time will then speed us up.
And when everything seems lost, something will be found, and I will then look to others for answers, and when they become louder, their noise will not repeat my questions I had, for when our energy is invigorated, we will become ourselves awake.
And when I have another vision of the day, and when in that vision there are no streets, then there will be no moisture from the rain, and the cars will appear from out of nowhere, and when every alphabet is organized, then all things will be revealed in green and red neon lights.
And when I love the familiar places around me, then my body will visit them again and again, and I will have a solid stare at the solid air, and then I will put off the crown today, when all is impoverished.
And when things are never here, then I will take my sweet time to undo all of the combinations I can.
And when I ignore and forget poetry, then I will be colorless, and my visions will not be of the rolling hills, and when I sleep in the night by you, then change itself will end.
And when I give up writing research papers, then those documents done by Jack's mathematical doctor friend will be with the third level forgotten, and the random order will be difficult to follow because creativity and its strangeness will be crushed.
And when the change is random, then so will be my potential forgetfulness, and when I leave, then I will not be in the bathroom. I will put out cat food when I know where to go next for sure. I made up no songs, and drove no trucks.
I neither think of pigs nor of dinosaurs. When I run out of gas, I will be in good time to see no waters. And when no water is left in this world, then I will leave, and I will ask others not to consider any possibility that I am who they think I am.
When none of it is done by research, then I never will have been a monkey, and when I control myself, as I really like having circles around me, then I will have to leave them be.
For I find out where I can get $2,400 when I am black and blue, and then I will not wish to stay, but, you know, I will stay because my ticket is lost, and I am frowning.
The day is done, and I am wandering a desert when I have opened myself up to all around me, and when I wish to stay, and when I am safe, then I become scared.
And when I know it is not money, but when all around me will miss me, then I will get my hands even dirtier because they are calloused as anything.
And I will be discovered and come back, and come to, and come by, even when I am not hungry for food.
For I know where I am. And when this is my distraction of a train of every idea coming at me in random, then I will not think of John Locke, nor of duration.
But I have a sensation of being distracted by the appearances of certain irregular periods at different distances, and they are the ideas of uncertain lengths and measurements of space.
And when I do not repeat this to my mind, when I do not imagine such a space, then I will be surprised when tomorrow comes and what it will be like.
And I am disposing of an idea that eternity is something I can handle, when I consider that idea of space in particular.
4. This is not society, and this is not my portfolio, and these are not my pictures, and those are not my flags and scrolls, and these are not my texts and matches.
When I am blinded to the notebooks compiled, then they become complete volumes, and my Lego drawings cease to be structures that can be given titles, the diagrams vanish.
When the film is botched, then I will know that I am not in San Antonio, and there will be no list of potential sponsors. And, when I toss away my budget because I have no ideas, then the flags, banners and pendants will lose their detail, and it will be time for the structure to be reverse engineered.
And I am not in the state, and things do not add up when I lose the computer programming sponsorship, and my name, William Godfrey McBride III, will be erased.
When things only go in one way, then everything belongs to that field, distinctions blur, and nothing is reflected by any meaningful connection since that too has broken away and died.
The columns do not appear as massive when other objects look bad around them.
And, when the causes of technology, of architecture, of geometry have gone in only one way, then those sections will not show outlines, and Habermas, and Derrida, and Rorty, and Bataille will all leave their schools.
And when my biography is democratic, then I will have no culture, and nothing will go to waste, since all that is pragmatic of commerce, of homogeneity, will not become an erotic critique of taboos and of particular economics.
When they forget to introduce me, then Foucault will partake in making an important distinction between the types of powers, and when he too forgets to attribute general, all-inclusive conditions, then they will lose the ability to be characterized, and Heidegger, Derrida, Jewish mysticism will seem ignored.
For transcendence does not happen in two ways, not going beyond culture and norms, not going beyond time and fixed ideas, not going beyond history.
And, when moderation of standards, paradigms, self-referential reasons, ontology are overlooked because of glaring superstandards, then historical accounts of the forces of destruction of words will obscure understanding after constructing them happens for the sake of work and work alone.
When a history is not made up of us, then the words will have no etymologies.
5. When I say farewell, then I will let go of the request for that grant application from the Foundation for Information concerning the most recent eternities for submitting grant applications.
When I am ungrateful, then patterns will flow into different groups, and I will know all. When I awake, the self will be healthier, and nothing will be possible outside it.
And, when schemata become unnecessary, then these similarities and differences will exist beyond history.
When X and Y relate, then these feelings will not be put into words anymore, and the past will be considered a thought experiment.
And, when I am included in X, then my inactivity and my idleness will be the same thing as undistinguishable from each other, and I will not be able to explain the specific by the general.
And when the continuum happens all at once, then my duration will not be organized, and when there are no more metaphors, then I will not write my Symphony 1, nor its last movement, and I will put all of the notes on the bottom bar.
And, when I keep all in the same position, then I will get out my best china to celebrate my life just like that. And, when I am making time by forming outside an uncommon time span, then every triad will not be repeated.
There is no symmetry when I hang up on the art dealers at the galleries, and when I cannot meet with them, nor have pictures taken of me.
And, when I become a for-profit artist, then I will not be called William McBride, and I will have the answers at the exhibition. And, when I wonder what the end result is, then I will lose my grants for the Texan trails.
And when the movement becomes solid, then balance will become less important, and when I am rejected, and when I visualize the togetherness and the imbalances of hundreds of things, then the solidity will minimize into a particle, and it will neither have thinness nor any width.
6. Before the veneer is completed, and when I remember the symphony for now, the public will have its aesthetic appreciation.
There is no mass, but stereotomy is massive, and this composition will have no architecture.
I will keep silent about the publication and the exhibition. And when I am influenced by the Bauhaus school to have my public style carved away by the calmness of a relationship, then there will be no magic in the column, there will be no weight to a lintel.
And when that flowing moment depends on the shapes that are outside of its mass, then the timing of the sculptural architecture will put off balance the reflection of the spirit, and then a very old architecture will cease, creating effects that pinch, lift, pull, shape, and squeeze. And when the water is frozen, I will not drink it sometime during the day.
And, when the clouds are patient and still, then I will see the earth stop its motion, and the peaceful wind will float over rooftops.
And when I interview the architect, then I will ask, why did you become one? And I will wonder over the answer.
And when I ask if maturity is a good thing, then I will wonder at the answer.
And when I ask if the songbirds are disliked, then I will wonder over the answer.
And when the leaves are coming back in the glory of the spring, I will not ask about the squirrels, and then I will not wonder over the answer.
And when I ask why we are here, then I will be direct, and wonder why we are so talkative.
And when I have the answers, then the leaves will change color, and I will conclude and become silent.
The commentary of the architect will happen when we meet, and I will say hello, yes, and my name will be spoken.
7. If it is impossible, miracles will be unrelated, the dew will sit on the roses, and the way will not happen because of some luck of a personal kind.
The order has an order to it, and the lights stay on, colors are left behind, the second chance is given, and the healthy boredom comes.
When there are no more potato chips, when the people are at peace, when the spider is ahead of itself, then these words will be as light as air.
And when the solid bricks and the unclear windows, and the pleasant beauty outside move slowly with the page, then science will implode upon itself, and there will not be room to escape the knowledge of the wind.
And, where there is love satisfied, the symbols will exist for a man or woman, their answers will have meaning, but they will not have power to dare.
When the books contain no rules to conform to all at once, the games will be of touch, and the blunt touch will be known by proving people at peace with their blocked identities.
And, when the insects thrive, and the point becomes one to drag onward through 100 tunnels, the soft hands will shake each other, and people will settle and prosper in their silky clothes, searching for nothing more than a way to stick together on this globe forgiven by benevolent others.
The painted rooms reflect the weakness of daylight, and the energy of nature is of the freedom to be naked. The first object that is seen is a discovery to eyes about the way it was, and the ways not to take it.
And, when the adults are instructed to say polite sayings, and little is admired of their etiquette, then the knots are untied in only one way, and while some knots will end up untied, the education is a serious one where people are educated kindly not to sing songs anymore.
The rest is so very exciting, and the fire is standing without shape in its fire, and we let it all go on in our little domestic state, where we hear it all as a song now begins.
I cannot see the moment that can change the world.
When my thoughts cannot be edited anymore, my memories begin to communicate to me what to write.
And, when I return clothed but without having any purpose to be clothed, then I will place somewhere on the earth upon some dead-end road my colors brightening, staying steady in the light of the sun, and the cars will vanish with the sun, and the hum of the fields will become quiet.
8. Where will I go with my legs when I would go anywhere with them?
When I must awake and awake best until all rest moves satisfactorily away, then I might just plan on living.
When my time is crucial, then my pleasures are clothed in my nudity, and I have to be private.
When I understand the law, then it must be that nudity is the not wearing of clothes, and all things wear something. No.
So what will I put on when I'm outside, when I am at some boring angle, and when I gain even more in the simplicity of my poem?
And, when the concepts themselves are older, then they will fade into a powerlessness.
And when Kant becomes less real, and when all things are clarified by the poem, then I will not be aware of the end of comprehension.
I will not be as formal and traditional in my reasoning, and the truth of dissolving the problems will perfect nothing.
There will be no dialectic of reason, nor of a rational way, because the path will be lost in the meanings.
When the Weltgeist has no absolute knowledge left, then my experiment will triumph.
And it will be okay to bring in the trouble at last, and it will speed up the rain, which is falling.
And, when the awesomeness leaps nicely into something else, then the major goodness will be visualized in the lower parts.
And it will be okay that for all of these things which happen between the continuum, an advanced newness will be remembered, and then Eric Satie's music can be turned off.
And, when it speeds up in a major jump from C to E flat, then I will make use of a triple rest with one more to follow.
9. I will go forward with the measure, taking it away from the original.
By doing so it will not be superfluous, and it will go E, A, D, G.
And when without this, I will cease doing the same thing. It will dwindle for a moment, and then stop.
And, when I delete the note C on a G, and discard it between D and A, Then it will trail behind on an ascent never to return to the major into which it cannot jump.
And if the sound becomes wrong, then I will go slower and play it only once. I will slow down in the softening and join it to the end of my ascent.
It will not be a Wagnerian motif, and I will not think about Nabokov either.
And when I discard these different pieces, I will order them in the same way, and I will construct the foundation by building around time a mold.
There will be no rocks, and no masses. Each moment in the garden is special.
Those moments from the final music will not reflect any bad times.
The true discovery. And, when the warmth of the sun reaches my legs, I shall turn it all on, and the light upon the trees and branches will collect beside the motionless grass.
And when I avoid the films of a monomotion, films of playing of final music will relate to my spirit when finalizing the music, because these are the older ways of learning.
I will make music by commissions, and there will be constructed a home too.
And I will give away the keys to my public, and they will be socialized and sophisticated, and there will be no biggest problem with that, because I will not want to walk through it.
And, when the horizontal proportions make patterns again, then a freedom will be made by the rules of the form.
And when I do not conceptualize a cookie-cutter cast, then I will connect the concepts of the whole form, which is limited by the stereotomic method.
And, when I take it all apart, then I will have no more model to work on.
When the straight frames are forgotten, then a few leaves will be destroyed in wonderful scatterings of shapes, and I will not be looking between them, but at the earth's surface I will look.
I will end with one model, and it will be a good thing that you will not be bothered by it.
And when it is a good thing that you are calmed by it, then for a problem to be created will you ask, and the pleasantness will be hid.
And, from this conflict of ideas, and from the avoidance of the predictable model, nothing will happen, feelings will die away for the forms, and those old models will become realized, and they will pull towards the edge, and silence will ensue.
The old model will become real, and I will glance at the massive one, right side up to translate the interruption which swings down in a triad through the keys on the piano.
And, when they wonder about that, then I will rise up.
When millimeters are added to the serious shortness, then nothing will seem what it is, and either you will be where you are, or I will have to say otherwise.
And, when friendship becomes tragic, then it will have just begun, and, the dancing will be wiser, and the purpose will be to cease the dance.
When I conceal my nakedness, then I will not sport in my shoes, and the maturity I have will be hidden from all under the rainy sky.
And, when what is mine, I will remember the fifth, and the sun will drop in the working night, and some meaning will just then live.
When I remember you, then I will add to my voice some love, and my spirits will remain present.
And, when the elegance comes today, then the people will be thrust into the future, and the future will continue from the present.